stop, because today is your birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, my baby girl. Happy birthday to you. Mwah. I want to take this time now to say happy birthday to my youngest child, my baby, Krissa. My baby is 23 today. 23 years ago today. What I like to do when it is my children's birthday, each of them, is I like to actually take the time and reflect upon that time period and remember the day all the way from the moment that I'm actually going into labor until they're actually born, what I was feeling, what was going through my head, everything that transpired all the way through to when they're actually born. So I am going to take the moment, Krissa, and this is for you, baby girl, my baby, the last of all four of my children. My story is I started at 17, yes, a teen mom. At 17, I had my first child. I was a teen mom, very young, and learned really quickly what it meant to be a grown up and be mature. And then went on, had my second child at 26, 9.5 years later, and then 7 years after that had my third child, and then 5 years after that had my baby at 39. So I was pretty much 40 and pregnant, almost 40 and pregnant. And, during the time, it was a very scary time. And I can remember, finding out the surprise of when I found out that I was pregnant with her. And it was kind of a really inopportune time, I will say, and being totally transparent, which is what I like to do with my stories, is explaining that during that time, my marriage was on the outs, and the reality was is that, looking back to that time, it really was, although we didn't see it at the time, and I think that realistically, we kind of looked at the baby as kind of a makeup baby and maybe a way to salvage our marriage. But unfortunately, it did not work. And so, if any of you, just a message out to any of you who are thinking along those terms, if anybody even still thinks like that, it doesn't work. It's not the answer. And unless you really, there's nothing that is going to take away from working on your relationship. That is the only thing that salvages a marriage and relationship, is you have to be willing to actually work on the relationship. And there is nothing, no one, or no incident, no occurrence, or no nothing that can intercede that or take that place. That is the priority, and there's nothing that can nothing other than that can be done. So having said that, going on to say that finding out I'm pregnant with her, it was an exciting time. I was very happy, of course. I wanted to have 6 kids. So I was really happy, though. It did make me happy because I really wanted to have this house full of children. Being raised with just myself and 2 brothers, I always dreamed of having this house full of kids. Growing up, I had friends that had like 7 and 8 brothers and sisters, and I really just loved, the energy and the excitement and just that whole, being in that type of a family. And my favorite show was The Brady Bunch and Eight is Enough, and shows like that, where just the energy of having that many people and a home full of love and excitement and happiness and all these different milestones, each child going through their dilemmas and all these little, Friday night episodes of what Marsha's going to do this week and whatnot. Those were my fantasies growing up. And that's how I dreamed that my family, when I started one, would be like. And it was almost, I ended up having 4 children, and we did have a house full of love. And even though we only had 4 children, we always had a house full of kids because the kids, their friends, I was the house that all the kids were always at. And the episodes and the drama and all that, Friday night episodes were 7 days a week for us. So, yeah, so anyway, it was a happy time. And then finding out that it was another girl after 3 girls, my first was my only son, and then 3 girls after him, was exciting. And I just loved my girls. And it was exciting to have 3 little girls and, dressing up 3 little babies. But going back to this, is supposed to be about Carissa. So going back to my Krissy is what I call her. Her name is, okay, so finding out she's a girl. And then being that she was our last girl, and our daughters, our 3 daughters, we have Lauren Noel, Andrea Mariah, and although we didn't plan it that way, Lauren is named after, at the time there was a soap opera called Loving. I don't know if any of you remember that. And there was I don't even remember the character's name, but the actress' name was Noelle Beck. Beautiful girl, beautiful girl. And I don't even know if she's ever done anything after that. But I just was so obsessed with her name, and she spelled it Noelle. And I really would have liked that to be her first name. But again, my husband and I, we were both working at the county social services, and Friday night was a Friday night after hours at El Torito's. And so we'd go there on Fridays after work, and there was this beautiful Hispanic waitress, and the guys would always flirt with her, and she was so cute and bouncy and friendly. And one of the guys dredged up the courage to ask her, her name, and she said her name was Lauren. And at that point, I was obsessed with that name. So when we became pregnant with my first daughter, and of course, my husband, oh my gosh, I never saw a man so involved with naming his daughters. He had to be very, very, involved in their naming. It couldn't just be my thing. He had to approve it and be okay with it and make sure that it was going to have some significance. It wasn't going to be a stripper name. Of course, one of the names I was thinking of was Star. And he was like, okay, now that's a stripper name if I ever heard one. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I went to school with a girl that was a cheerleader, very popular and nice, and her name was Star Vernon. And I don't think she ended up being a stripper. She was a very nice country, nice girl, and I think she ended up being a teacher. So anyway, so Lauren, we had decided on Lauren Noel. So that's how we came about Lauren's name. Andrea, when we got pregnant with Andrea, she was born 3 months premature, and that's a whole nother chapter of what happened with her birth and her naming and everything. And so she was born 12 weeks early and had to spend 5 weeks in the NICU. So I just remember that when she was born, I did not want to have her in the NICU and being referred to Baby Girl Cortez. I wanted her to have a name, and I wanted everybody to know who they were praying for, because the church, everybody was praying for my little baby. She had a really rough first 4 weeks. A lot of stuff going on with her in the NICU, a lot of health issues. Pulled through though. God is so amazing. But anyway, so we went back and forth, all of us. Of course, at the time, my son was 16, Lauren was 7. Every single one of us had a different name. I wanted Victoria. Andrea, oh God, I'm saying the names of girls that aren't here yet. Lauren wanted Angelica, and my son wanted Amanda, and my husband just couldn't come up with a name whatsoever. And so at the time, I was I was doing daycare at that time, and I think we had actually decided on Helica, and the middle name was going to be Mercedes, AM. And so, of course, with the trauma of her birth and everything, when she was born, my husband was called to emergency for the emergency C-section. And, when I said, just name the baby, and there I was wheeled off to intensive care, all he could remember was AM, AM. So, and I being half in and out of it, I just remember when we were looking at names, I saw the name Andrea, and it meant woman of God. So I said that is going to have to be her name because we're fighting with some health issues, and we want God to know that she is going to be a godly woman. And then Mariah meant strong in the faith of God. So there it was, Andrea Mariah. Unbeknownst to us, of course, we knew that Mariah Carey was popular, but no, she was not named after Mariah Carey. And no, my husband did not have a secret obsession with Mariah Carey. So that's how Andrea got her name. So when Krissy was born, when we were expecting her, again, the dilemma of the names, and everybody wanted a different name, and just all this and that and back and forth and whatnot. And so at the time, I was coaching cheer. I was a cheer coach at that time. So the first time I was a daycare teacher, now I'm a cheer coach, and I got all these little girls around me. And we had a darling girl on our team by the name of Krissa, but with the C, a Krissa with the C. And I think with Krissa, I was really dead set on Victoria. I really wanted Victoria. But my husband did not like the name Victoria, and he just, no. And so, and then at the time, unfortunately, we lost his mother, my mother-in-law, and her name was Janie Sanjuana. And then my Nana, we lost my Nana, whose name was Mercedes. So, and then, at the time, we were trying to think of a popular, more of a upbeat name. And so we both liked the name Aaliyah, but at the same time was when all the, the publicity with Aaliyah and her dying and whatnot. So we did decide on Aaliyah, but we spelled it a different way because we did not want her to be associated with the Aaliyah or anyone to think that we were naming her in honor of Aaliyah. Although, we love Aaliyah, nothing against Aaliyah. It just, that's not our thing. It wasn't our thing. So we decided on Krissa with a K, Aaliyah, Jane, Mercedes, in honor of both of his mom, my Nana, and then Aaliyah, Krissa Aaliyah, the original, names to kind of go with her sister's kind of, edgy names, or not edgy, but, they're popular girl names. So there we have it. We finally had our Krissa Aaliyah, Jane, Mercedes. So this little girl, born as beautiful as ever, without a fight in the world, 40 and pregnant. I was so insecure about my delivery. I had had 3 previous high-risk pregnancies, high-risk deliveries, and just the the challenges of the breastfeeding and being a mom, starting having my second child having a virginal birth after a C-section, the trauma of that, and then of course the third child being a preemie, and now this fourth baby being born with a 40-year-old mom. I there was some insecurities, and I do have to tell you, being 40 and pregnant, we had to go over to Valley Children's for genetic counseling, and my husband and I had already decided against amnio. We did not want to have amnio because of all the high-risk situations that we'd already had dealt with with the other pregnancies. We just felt that whatever God was going to give us, we were going to accept and, be okay with it, be blessed that God wanted us to be blessed with this child and it would be his will. And so we opted for just genetic counseling and the AFP test. So we go to Valley Children's for the AFP test, which incidentally enough, I, felt really good about it because when the results came back, the genetic counselor said, well, your blood work and everything, I don't know I know nothing about what's involved with that testing. All I know is she said that your stats came back comparable to a 35-year-old woman pregnant, a healthy pregnant woman. So I was like, I felt good about that. I was like, oh, so I could maybe have more if I wanted to. And my husband's looking at me already cross-eyed, because remember, I wanted to have 6. So anyway, I just, the other exciting thing about that day is I remember when we get there, they put a name tag on me, and the tag I have to go to, they send us through this corridor and off to this special section for genetic counseling, but yet there was a special, category because I was at my name tag I can't talk, specifically said advanced maternal age. Advanced, okay, maternal age. Walked around the hospital with a name tag that said that and my name in order for them to know exactly which correct category and which office and which genetic doctor I needed to see. And I'm like, I get there and I'm like, pregnant old lady would have been okay with me too. Nonetheless, I survived that day. I went on to survive the pregnancy, my easiest pregnancy. I was coaching cheer, as a matter of fact, and I'm running around 8 months pregnant, this football field, and little Rudy wants to get in on this scene. Rudy, it's not your time. You need to sit down and be patient. He wants mama right now. You need to sit down and be patient, buddy. Anyway, sorry about that interruption. I hope I didn't have what do they call it? A costume malfunction right there with my top. Anyway, so yes, easiest pregnancy, easiest labor, easiest childbirth, latched on immediately, slept through the night immediately. Just a beautiful, wonderful child. Krissa, thank you so much. You were such a joy. 23 years ago, I was the happiest mom in the world. You've made my life so complete. I know, baby, you went through some challenges being, your siblings being so much older than you. And then, unfortunately, mom and dad divorcing. It's been rough for you, I know. But I love you, and I'm so proud of you. You've graduated with honors. You graduated cum laude at Fresno State with the 4.0 GPA. We're so proud of you. Pre-med, although you changed your mind and decided not to go into the med field, and we're proud of you anyway. You've taken off with your bakery business, and we're so proud of you. If any of you out there, just a shameless plug here, my daughter, Bay Bakery. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. My mind went blank. Bay, B-A-E, Bakery. Look her up on Facebook, Instagram. Does everything homemade from scratch, y'all. And they are the most tastiest treats. She does custom cake, custom cakes, custom treats. And she's got the hook on build your own cinnamon rolls, y'all. Need to try that. Look her up. She does special orders, pop-ups, anything, everything, cakes, weddings. Look her up. We love you, Krissa. You've been such a joy. I'm so happy. You've made my life so complete. To be the bottom last end of the rope, to be other than to have you at that position has been the joy. If I was going to have to end it like I did with you, I'm glad that you were the one that I had last and got to have my last experience with pregnancy and being a mommy all over again. I love you, baby, and I hope you had a wonderful birthday, and I thank you all for listening. Now listen, folks, after today, we're going to start from here on out. I am committing to a 4-week everyday posting a video, and we're doing a 4-week personal transformation, a woman's improvement of self advancement. 4-week self transformation, woman's improvement transformation. Listen in. We're going to take you on a journey that's going to make your life go from 0 to hero in 4 weeks. And I promise you, you're going to love it. 0 to hero is a Mrs. Hero in 4 weeks, y'all. So join us on our journey, and it's going to be a journey that you're not going to want to miss. Hero to Zero in 4 weeks. Self-transformation, women empowerment. Come join us, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace out. Thanks for listening. Happy birthday to my baby.